welcome to the latest episode of the Dell Technologies technical series. My name's Rick McAvoy at TD SYNNEX. I'm joined today by Adam Lawton and Lisa Palk. Have I got your surname pronunciation all right?
Spot on.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, we'll do proper introductions in a minute, but first I like to do a little bit of an icebreaker when we get people on the podcast. So, if you were going on Come Dine With Me, right? Now, Adam looks like he's deep in thought here,
Yeah.
so I'm going to start with Lisa.
Okay.
3-course meal, what would you make?
Oh, if I have to cook it, it's really quite a limited repertoire. Possibly is it like a tricolore salad, tomato, avocado, mozzarella, bit
Solid.
of balsamic.
Like it.
Minimal prep work for that piece. Probably lasagna, and then a banoffee pie.
Ooh.
That's literally all I've
Nice.
got.
So I like the way you've been quite solid, Mediterranean,
it's all about the
Mediterranean
layers.
banoffee.
Yeah. All about the layers.
Okay, solid, like it. Adam?
I'd probably go something like seared scallops for a starter. I think, even if I was making it, I like seafood. It's pretty easy to cook as well, to be fair. I'd do then something like a beef bourguignon. You can stick it in the oven, cook it for ages, and it's just make some mash to go with, and then probably to finish, the best dessert probably I make is like a chocolate tart sort of thing. So pastry and chocolate. What's it called? Not ganache. That's
Yes.
it. That's the one. Something like that, and maybe put a bit of spice or fruit flavour through it, like orange, just for a bit of extra je ne sais quoi, as they say.
Oh, nice. See, that's adventurous. I like it. I mean, I'm probably going to steal off all the HelloFresh menus that I've had over the past couple of weeks, with my wife telling me we need to cook better, which means I need to cook better. So I'm probably going to go with like some honey glazed halloumi to start. Maybe, I don't know, some spaghetti swirl thing that I did the other day. It's mainly just spaghetti bolognese, but it's all in the presentation. And then the world's most straightforward white chocolate cheesecake, because I'm all about keeping things simple. And literally everything I've described there, I would probably make in about an hour. So I'm all about speed, efficiency, and making it look like it's harder than it actually was. That's how I roll in life. So thanks for coming in, and thank you for your time today. And we started with Lisa last time, so let's continue the theme. Lisa,
Fair enough.
tell everyone who you are and what do you do?
So I'm Lisa Palk. I am an Apex specialist, and I am part of the Apex acceleration team. We were formed 18 months ago when we announced and sort of got behind Apex as a service in the UK and across EMEA. So I get to speak to distributors, partners and end users all day long around Apex and Apex Multi-Cloud.
Fantastic. Mr. Lawton?
Yeah, so I'm similar but slightly different, I guess, is the best way to explain it. So I'm part of a global partner specialty team for Apex. So my role is very much partner-centric, 100% focused on channel. I started the role probably about 5 months ago now. I keep telling people I'm new still and hoping to get away with it, but I think that's wearing off very quickly now. But again, similar role to Lisa, it's talking to all our distributors, our partners, enthusing, engaging our partners around Apex, helping them see the light of what a wonderful proposition it is, I guess, and really helping them on that journey from getting that basic understanding to actually transacting some opportunities with us.
I think just on the new in the role piece, I think you're quite lucky in that people in the channel around the Dell technology stack kind of know you already.
Yeah.
So if you tell them you're new in a role, they'll go, oh yeah, I remember Adam from when he used to do this. So you'll probably get away with it for a little bit
I guess
longer.
the 10 plus years in channel pre-sales would help in that respect. Yeah, definitely.
So first, what I just want to, it's a very straightforward question, I guess. What is Apex and why is it everything? Right? There's a lot of talk about Apex, a lot of talk that our partners are picking up on, are hearing from Dell Technologies. And a lot of the time when I'm delivering enablement sessions, whatever the topic, eventually it's going to come round to Apex. And there's different flavors, right?
Yeah.
Different solutions. So I always end up saying Apex is whatever you want it to be, ultimately. Is that right, or am I just leading people up the garden path? Lisa?
Not too dissimilar, but we typically would say you can invariably say yes with Apex, right?
It's a better way.
So I think about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, Apex was around the as a service, the consumption models, using varying mechanisms to underpin that. And it's slowly become a little bit more than as a service. It's now become Apex multi-cloud by design. So if it has a cloud-like DNA or the capabilities to get to or from a cloud, invariably that's what the parameters are of Apex. So it becomes the prefix to everything that has the kind of parameters around that. Does it have a multi-cloud destination? Does it look and feel like a cloud? And can it enable cloud adoption? I think is where we would say Apex fits now. So it kind of, yes, you can do a lot with Apex, but you invariably get to say yes.
So I like that. I'm probably going to steal that. Hang on, let me just write that down. I can say yes with Apex. Right, okay. On that though, so there's generally like 3 main strands around Apex, right? So there's the almost as a service at one end, where you're literally consuming services as if it was a public cloud or within the public cloud. You've got more provisioning of outcome-based solutions as almost like a second strand to it. And then you've also got the consumption of traditional procurement of tradition. I don't know why my arm's up there, by the way, for the video people. Purchasing method for traditional on-prem architecture, which then gives you that consumption approach, which is very similar to the cloud, right? So how do you guys within Dell know when to position those against one another? Is there a sweet spot for each? I'm going to go with Adam for this one because I've been picking on Lisa.
I think the first thing you have to start with, as you do with when you design any kind of solution, is you start with what's the workload, what is the actual objective the customer's trying to achieve, and you go from there. So is it an on-premise solution they're looking for, or is it actually something they're looking to actually develop a hybrid cloud strategy or a multi-cloud strategy, or are they actually just trying to actually accelerate what they're doing in their hyperscaler environments as well? So, and the good thing about the Apex portfolio is actually we can address all those things, separately and together as well. So it really comes back to that initial thing, which is looking at what they're trying to achieve. Not going in with that attitude, I'm going to sell them Apex. It's more a case of, I'm going to listen first off. As a good seller, you're going to listen, and then I'm going to actually help them with the best path forward that's going to make most sense out of the portfolio. Like, be more holistic and open about it.
Excellent. And I think that's a message that's going over quite well with partners in my experience. I was literally running a session for partners yesterday, and I wasn't planning on covering Apex just because it was specifically around certain hardware stacks.
Yeah.
And eventually we get to the point where it comes up in conversation, and they expected something completely different. I.e., they expected me to be hammering them over the head with the only way to do this is Apex. The only way of doing anything moving forward is Apex, and they were very happy that it was if it's the best way, it's a solution, rather than me banging them over the head with it and say just do Apex. It's the answer to everything. So while we have these, and if we approach each opportunity from a traditional pre-sales or engineering approach of looking at the outcome or the workloads and kind of working back from that, is there a specific kind of weighting or leaning dependent on partner types that you see into a certain solution, or is it very much still each opportunity is its own individual thing? So for instance, if you're dealing primarily with service providers, would they be more inclined to go with the as a service or the outcome based versus flex on demand, for example? Is there a specific preference to different partner types, or is it just like the buffet that anyone can go to any station?
I'd probably say it's a bit of both, to being quite, being the politician's answer. But the reality is, it's definitely by opportunity basis. But I also see some trends when I'm talking to partners around which solutions they naturally gravitate towards. So those partners where we see who are kind of very technically competent, very invested with their customer in the solution design aspects, and really got to underwrite what's under the hood. The customer trusts them to advise them on what the best technology solution is going to be. Quite often they kind of naturally gravitate towards things like Flex on Demand, just simply because it doesn't really change that sales motion from what they've always done. So it's kind of less intrusive. But at the same time, I also see a different approach from other partners who are quite new to it, and actually find the approach of actually obfuscating the underlying technology quite refreshing, and actually like the ability to go out and sell something without having to worry too much about the technical side of things, because actually Dell's done the heavy lifting in terms of the curation of that solution. So there's a little bit of something for everyone, I think. So whatever the partner type is, we've again, as we said before, we can apex it. It's the same kind of approach. We can effectively tailor the right apex approach with the right partner based on what's best for them at the end of the day.
Excellent. And are you seeing, when you're engaging with partners, particular interest in one over the other, or is it again?
Yeah, I think I see kind of an even split actually, and I think some of that is actually just sort of a bit like you're saying. It's almost like it's the subscribing to a product where you still have a bill of materials probably feels the more comfortable if that's the sort of path you've always trod. So I think there's a natural affinity to move that way. I think there's also a case of the breadth of the portfolio we can cover that way. So if we've got partners who are very specific on a specific technology or a specific way of approaching workloads, then that might work really well for them. But I think on the alternative side, a bit like you're saying, is that the beauty of Apex is in the fact that we get to say yes, is because there's really kind of three levers and three use cases that are pervasive, irrespective of partner size or end customer size, verticals, industries. So that's why I think it's the most talked about area of our business. Dell Technologies world, it was a huge focus. Everything was Apex. So because we can approach those three common themes that, as I say, are pervasive across everybody. So from a partner point of view, if they have a specific technology or way they want to address workloads, then we do see that subscribing to a product become really favourable. But where we know that customers are looking to raise that value bar and abstract some of that risk and that responsibility left to the partner and the vendor, then that's where we see that subscribe to a service that you were talking about become sort of the leading engagement.
I suppose a lot of partners who are looking at Apex now, where they're looking primarily will very much depend on, I suppose, historically where they've been with the cloud, right? Because if you're used to just spinning up workloads and you don't really care what it's running on, you'll be used to that, almost that console model of going, I need 100 terabytes of block storage. Mr. Dell, please can you give it to me now? Whereas if you've always shied away from that, you're going to be far more comfortable. Like you're saying, I'm going to design my own system, I just need a different way to pay for it. So, something for everyone, isn't it? Everything is Apex, so I'll leave it at that. One of the real benefits that we talk to partners about, though, is the ability to wrap your own services around it. So, are there particular services that you guys speak to customers about that you say, right, in this particular stream on Apex, this gives you the opportunity to do A, B, and C? Or is it, again, just a suck it and see job and see what the customers are saying?
Shall I take that one? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll talk about it. Yeah, so I think the first thing is that, the services opportunity for partners around Apex is really strong. That's the first statement. We do offer different types of service around Apex. So we have a Dell Managed for some offers, but that's actually only quite a small subset of the overall portfolio. And for the vast majority of them are what we call customer managed. And the great thing about that is it gives the partner the opportunity, especially where they're that trusted advisor with that customer, to add those additional managed service layers on top. So that could be things like managing, the actual day-to-day operations of that service. It can be optimization, monitoring, for example. And of course, we also give the partner the opportunity to deploy as well. So those partners, the great news is that if you're a partner who's already invested in getting skilled up around deployment of Dell Technologies products. So some common ones out there for channel partners might be things like PowerStore or PowerScale and VxRail, for example. They're the things that typically underpin a lot of these services that we're talking about, and their investment is very much protected. Those partners can absolutely deploy those in an Apex solution. There's a couple of little modules they can complete online which are free, so again, no additional investment in terms of cost for that partner. So I think the good thing is the partner, I see partners who are very much in that, we do the rack, the stack, we do the deployment piece, they're interested. But also we've got those, you talk to the broader service provider communities who do that full stack managed service piece. They see opportunity as well, because again, it just allows them to provide that additional wrapper on top. And actually it's not a competitor, it's actually an opportunity for them.
Yeah, and that's pushback that we got from partners when we first started talking about Apex, when we were talking about Apex as this hypothetical thing that's coming and what's it going to be, and it's like, well, this is 50% of our business is in our services revenue, so we're going to steer clear. So
I sat on a lot of advisory boards where a lot of those questions came up, and and that was certainly and that was across EMEA as well, so it wasn't just a UK thing, and that came across loud and clear from the partners. They want that ability to deploy, even though actually the deployment's probably the small piece of the cheese, as it were. The much larger piece is actually the managed service that they can add, and additional services they can add around application management, migration, all those kind of things, and just the wider integration.
Well, I was talking to one of our implementation engineers earlier, and one of the things that keeps coming up around other vendors, and I'm not going to specify any vendors in particular, is around how they kind of lock everything down. So you have to do things in a certain way, and there's certain things that only their engineers can do. Whereas with the Dell Technologies portfolio, and it helps with this Apex piece around it, is there isn't any locking down. There's products that you need Pro Deploy and Pro Deploy Plus for.
Yeah.
But if you are invested in those products, you can be certified to do it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the key value propositions. And to be honest, as soon as I saw that was an add-on that we could have with Apex, I was like, okay, well that's 80% of the worries down there.
Yeah, and if you're in, for example, the Apex console, and you're configuring an offer, it's just a tick box. You just tick partner deploy when you're in there, and then we have to validate it behind the scenes either way. So we can't just have people who aren't certified deploying it, but we absolutely, we want to protect the investment a lot of our partners have made with us.
Yeah, and if I was trying to be a particularly smooth presenter right now, I'd probably look in the camera and go, and we have just done a podcast talking about our co-delivery with Dell Pro Deploy, but I'm not, so I'll talk about it rather than doing it. That's kind of how I roll. Outside of that, in terms of being able to protect people's services revenue, there's also, and I'm very much going to direct this in your direction, Adam, there's benefits of Apex within the Dell Partner Program, right? It's. I always look at the partner program each quarter or each year. Generally, it generally stays fairly consistent on a yearly basis, right?
Yeah.
And I just generally have a look at it and go, right, so where's the focus going to be this year? And it's not particularly hidden that Apex is a big focus this year, and because of that, there's a huge opportunity for partners to hit numbers, achieve higher accreditation levels or high certification levels by focusing on Apex products, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Excellent. I thought I'd misread it then, so I'm glad I haven't. So,
Good.
are we seeing that as a big driver through the year of people wanting to get involved, or is it purely the technology that's driving them there?
It's a mixture of everything. I think, yes, we can have. I've often had this kind of attitude throughout my career, which is you can have the best technology in the world, but if the incentives aren't right and the partner can't actually monetize that and make a profit from it, then why would they do it?
Yeah.
They still got to be able to make a profit. So the great thing is, yes, Apex, based on all the best technologies in the world, non-biased opinion there, obviously, but I think it's 27 or so Magic Quadrants say back that up. But and without being arrogant, it's a case of we have got a really good technology portfolio. It's fantastic. We've got some amazing technologies that we base these designs on. But off the back of that, we make it a fantastic opportunity for the partner in terms of being able to make profit from it. which is key. So if you look at the rebate structure which we put in place for Apex, we have multipliers in place which then further incentivize the partner to go down that route. And we also have tier acceleration as well. So for a partner who's aspiring to reach that next tier, it's a great way of doing it, because effectively $1 becomes $3. So it's a great way for that partner to accelerate their trajectory in our partner program.
Yeah, and I guess that's across pretty much the entire Apex portfolio, right? So
yeah, we've backed Apex very much, and we need our partner ecosystem to come along with us. And so to answer one of the questions you mentioned earlier is, you know, our partners wanting to do that.
Yeah.
We see more partners have CRO people. You know, CRO didn't really exist, or it wasn't really on my radar. More partners have CRO identified people, and I would say that there is more ambition to monetize in a revenue stream to get that consistency, and this can help them do that by using Apex. It absolutely aligns to that, and the rebate structure that you mentioned and those accelerations, that helps us work with the partners to transform themselves into how they want to capture business as well.
Excellent. And I think that CRO point's massive, right? I mean, if we look at not just Dell Technologies, we look across the entire industry, that transition from not just a CapEx, but one big hit of CapEx to recurring revenues, always going to be something that we need to manage and assist partners with, right? So, and just one last thing that's come into my head, trying not to be like Columbo. The key point I think you made earlier, Adam, and you've just reiterated it there, Lisa, is around the technology that it's based on. Right, so that to me, it makes me quite happy that we've spent the last however many years focusing on certain hardware platforms, whether that be PowerStore, PowerScale, VxRail, and seeing that being reflected as kind of these trusted technologies that we and the partner base have collectively got behind and driven, and seeing that reflected by Dell as these are the platforms that we're going to drive forward with in this solution is quite interesting to me. It would be very easy for a vendor, a tier one vendor, someone the size of Dell, to come up with something completely new, right? But that's not what this is about, is it?
No, we're really backing our portfolio, I think it's fair to say. I mean, and that's, you know, not everyone's doing that, to be fair. Not everyone's putting their trust in their own portfolios. They're using other technologies. But I think, we're very rightfully proud of what we do. I
did, kind of queue you up for a few of these questions beforehand, but more things keep coming into my head, so apologies for this. In terms of the new features that are being added, so obviously, Lisa, you mentioned DTW or Dell Technologies World earlier, and a lot of the new stuff that was announced there. Which of these new options or offerings within Apex is one that's most exciting to you, or you feel there's going to be the biggest opportunity around?
So the as a service piece, exactly as you were mentioning, that is all underpinned by our existing IP. You say number one in the right places, we can be completely transparent. It's just how much we want to abstract away from that. When we look at the evolution of what Apex has now become, Apex multi-cloud or Apex multi-cloud by design, it's the cloud to ground and ground to cloud approach and our strategy that is really, really resonating with our customers, our own sales community, as well as our partners. So I think it's that symbiotic recalibrating things to public hyperscalers, as well as moving the workloads based on parameters like performance, cost, security, as opposed to we built it there, we have to leave it there. We can now build once, deploy anywhere. So that cloud to ground, ground to cloud methodology, I think, is the bit that's the most attractive and what we're seeing the most of activity around.
I'd echo exactly what Lisa said. I think the one thing that I keep getting asked questions about more than anything else, though, is around the Apex Cloud Platform, and in particular the Azure variety, given the pervasiveness of Azure in the UK marketplace. It's a lot of interest, and we've had a lot of success as well with Azure Stack over the last couple of years as well. So it's kind of the natural evolution of that platform to get that same kind of experience that we've been able to do with VMware for such a long time, but now to be able to do the same kind of things with Microsoft is really exciting for us and a lot of our partners as well, especially those who've got those large Microsoft practices in-house.
Yeah, and that was from a purely hardware perspective, and it always seems strange talking about anything that's hybrid cloud going well from a purely hardware perspective, but we used to get that question all the time. It's like, well, you can do all this with VxRail for our VMware customers, but why can't you do that with the Microsoft platform? So seeing that for the hybrid cloud Microsoft platform is really exciting. Last up, because I don't want to keep you too long, how do we engage with you guys around Apex? What kind of resources out there, and do we just get in touch with you guys, or is there a specific channel that we need to go?
Good question. I'd say I'm probably on point for most channel things, so I'd probably be the first point of call for most channel stuff. I think, Lisa, you're very much in the seat on opportunities, aren't you? And working with our partners on those joint opportunities with customers.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of a myriad of different ways we can approach this. There's obviously an awful lot of content on portals, etc. But obviously the great thing is there's loads of content in there. The problem is there's loads of content in there. So I think it's really about having kind of a two-pronged approach. Is let's enable our partners' sellers as well as their pre-sales and the technical part, because it's still going to have a technical aspect to that. And also it can be just done on opportunity driven. So if I'm working with the end customer, I can do it that way, and then we'll loop Adam in, and then Adam can do it the converse way. If you're engaged with a partner and identify it as an end user, we can work together, we can work independently, either which way. But I would suggest, whilst we're sort of still getting people up to speed and having that transition of a one-off lump sum cash PO versus the as a service, I think there's still some more engagement we can do with the partners, with yourselves, to get that messaging across, to enable the sellers to get to sort of kind of capture that.
And I'd say, obviously, I think you guys have got a couple of Apex champions in-house as well who we work with, and we've done some joint calls with customers as well and partners recently, just again to help them with that. Actually, how do I present this as a proposition versus what I used to do in terms of the CapEx world? How do I present a rate card, for example? What does that look like? And what are the key things I should pull out? So
I think the overarching message though is obviously engage us. There is a raft of resources around Dell Technologies, also yourselves. Is if you lead with anything that's technology based, we know that. If you try and put Apex as a conversation point at the end, invariably it doesn't go as well as you would like. So if you start with Apex, you will still sell technology, you will still sell hardware, but you will potentially win it quicker. B, as partners, we know they can add additional services in there, helping raising that value bar again. It can grow the deal size as well.
I'd also say it helps preserve that long-term relationship with the customer as well, because you're not just doing your 3-year refresh and showing up every 3 years. You're having that ongoing relationship with them, especially if you're adding those additional services. You're doing your monthly or quarterly reviews with them on utilization, for example, or how you're consuming it. It all helps just continue that relationship with that customer and keeps that stickiness. I think a lot of partners really like that, find it attractive.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you both very much for coming in today. Just to let all the viewers and listeners know, my organisation skills aren't the best, so these guys have been waiting a little bit longer than they should have been, so apologies for that.
That's all right.
But thank you very much for coming in. For anyone listening, if you want to know more about Apex, how you guys can get involved, how we can get involved with the people in this room, just reach out to your FSE, your ISE, your BDM, whatever acronym you can think of. Get in touch with someone here at TD SYNNEX, and we're more than happy to facilitate that for you, even if we can't say it. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon. Bye.